It's about time you got here. Do you know how long I've been waiting for you to click on this video? Some people are always late. You probably either know someone like this or you are someone like this. I don't like to admit it, but I am a chronically late person. Always have been. I was late to be born, and I'll probably be late to die. Though I like to think of myself as a recovering late person because I'm way better about it than I used to be. But where I differ from a lot of other chronically late people is that I've never been indifferent about being late. Some people don't care when they're tardy. They show up late all the time with no apology or even acknowledgement of it. Not even a half-hearted, guess I'm a little late, huh? Or even worse, they own it like a personality trait and just go, hey, what can I say? I'm just a late person. That's just me. Or even worse, they get defensive about their lateness. You can see this online when chronically late people get called out. They act like you have a stick up your ass if you want people to be on time for things. I simply don't care. I'll be on time if I want to, not because you feel like the world should run on your time. Being on time doesn't really matter. If it's not truly important, there's nothing wrong to be late. Life is too short to always worry about time. Punctual people can be quick to assume that all tardy people are like this, that the only reason someone would be late all the time is because they just don't care that they're late. And while that is true some of the time, I can tell you that for people like me, it's not true. It's not indifference or disrespect for other people's time. So, what is it? Well, in this episode of my award-winning series, Talking Topics, I hope to shed a bit of light on that question and explore the subjects of punctuality and chronic lateness in general. So first off, let's get the obvious out of the way. There are valid, acceptable reasons for being late every now and then. Even punctual people are late sometimes. But when someone is slow getting to places more than 90% of the time and they're not a sloth, that's on them. That's when reasons for being late become excuses. Hey, sorry I'm late. It's not my fault. I was making good time and then, yeah, dude, I know what you're gonna say. You've been using the same excuse about being late for 3 years now. We don't believe you anymore. Frankly, we didn't believe you the first time you said it. No, it's true. I really fell into a pit of quicksand. So there's a couple dominant theories about people who are always tardy, or let's just call them tards for short. Actually, maybe let's not do that. The most common theory is that all chronically late people simply don't care about being late. And that is true for some of them, obviously, and they need a good spanking, but it's not true for everyone. I can tell you that this was never the case for me, because I used to be late to everything, including things I was anticipating and eager to go to. And second of all, I do care when I'm late, regardless of the event. In fact, I've always hated being late. It gives me stress and anxiety. I even have nightmares about being late to stuff, which I admit, as far as nightmares go, isn't too bad. Other people are dreaming about being chased or falling to their death, and I'm dreaming about going, oh no, I'm 13 minutes late to the pickleball game. What I'm trying to say is I don't go places with a laid-back attitude like, hey, we'll get there when we get there, man. It's all good. If I'm late, I'm in a rush. Sometimes when I'm running late, I am literally running late through the streets like some really lame version of a Tom Cruise movie, where instead of chasing after bad guys, I'm just trying to get to a dentist appointment on time. I have never shown up anywhere fashionably late. If I'm late, I show up sweaty, disheveled, and out of breath. One time I had a second date with a woman and I really didn't want to be late because I had already been 15 minutes late to the first date. And you know, 15 minutes late for a date is pushing it. It's verging on rude territory. I gave her a heads up that I was running late, and to her credit, she was cool about it, but I could tell there was a subtle undertone of like, why are you running so late to this date at a time and place that you chose? Because when it comes to dating, I do arrange the time and place of the date. He takes initiative, folks. He takes initiative. So that was the first date. The night of our second date rolls around and I'm determined to be on time. The plan is to meet up at a restaurant 3 miles from me. I leave my place on time. My ETA is looking good. I'm on track to arrive a few minutes early. But then, wouldn't you know it, the train I was gonna take has broken down. And I don't have a car because I sold my car when I moved to a walkable city. Check out my video about why cars suck. Now, I can't be late again, because if I'm late to the second date too, she might write me off as a person who's just always late, and that might be the last straw for her. She might not even believe me when I tell her the train was out of operation. And I realize the only way I have any chance of getting to this date on time is if I bike there. And it's the dead of winter, and it's a windy night. The elements are against me. Mother Nature and Father Time are working together to keep me from getting to this date on time. But I'm determined. I text my date, I tell her the situation. I say I'm trying to get there as soon as I can. She says, okay, that's fine. She probably thinks I'm lying about the train, but whatever. So I hop onto a rental bike and I take off. I'm biking 3 miles in 30-degree weather. Just, I've got snot running down my nose. My eyes are watering. Eventually, I get to the restaurant, I run through the doors, and I don't realize this at the moment, but the wind from the bike ride had blown my hair straight up. So when I enter the restaurant, I look like Kramer sliding into Jerry's apartment, and by Jove, I'm only 6 minutes late. I'm not on time, but I'm pretty close, all things considered. And my date is there, and we proceed to have a nice time at this restaurant. And you know what? It was all worth it. Because now, 3 years later, that woman I went on that date with is my wife. Oh, right. Actually, she ghosted me immediately after that date. But hey, that's just the dating game. All of that is to say, when I'm late to stuff, it's not for lack of caring. Another common take I've come across is that chronic lateness is simply a matter of consequences. For events with a soft start time, like social gatherings, there are no consequences for being late, so tardy people are tardy. But for events with a hard start time, there are consequences for being late. If they're late for a train, they'll miss the train. If they're late for work, they'll get in trouble with their boss. If they're late for a dentist appointment, they might miss the appointment, or their dentist might get mad at them and replace all their teeth with candy corn. In those scenarios, chronically late people are way more likely to show up on time. So it's like, what's up? Why are you showing up on time to those things, but you're always late for taco night? But I can tell you that, at least for me, consequences have only played a small role in my tardiness. I've lost money, I've missed buses, I've missed trains, I've almost missed flights, all because I was late. So if it's not indifference and it's not a lack of consequences, what is it? Well, the biggest reason for my chronic lateness, and I suspect this is probably true for most chronically late people, is that I simply don't have an accurate perception of time. I don't know why, but I've always been bad at estimating how long things will take. The clinical term for this is time blindness, which sounds more extreme than it really is. It's not like a medical condition where you literally can't see time. Excuse me, can you tell me what time it is? No, I can't. That would be interesting if that was how it worked, though. Because then if you wore clothes that had a bunch of times printed on them, you would be invisible to people with time blindness. All time blindness really means is that you have difficulty perceiving and managing time. The most common issue I've had with this is getting ready to leave home. I'm way better about it these days than I used to be, but in the past, if I had to leave at 6 p.m., I would start getting ready to leave at 6 p.m. because I would think, oh, all I have to do is put on my shoes and a jacket and head out the door. But then as I was getting ready to leave, I would realize there's a whole bunch of other things I need to do, especially because I'm a forgetful person. So I'd start getting ready to leave, and then I'd think, oh wait, I have to pee before I head out. Oh, and I need to put on socks. Oh, and I have to change my pants. Oh, and I have to grab my earbuds. Oh, and I have to get a drink of water. Oh, I have to pee again. Oh, and I forgot to comb my hair. Oh, and I forgot to put on deodorant. Oh, now I have to pee again. Oh, now I have to go to WebMD to figure out why I'm peeing so much. And before you know it, I've spent 15 minutes getting ready to go out the door. I just think things will take less time than they actually do. This is sometimes referred to as the planning fallacy, which is where you're overly optimistic about how much time things take. A common version of it is thinking that a task will take the least amount of time that it has ever taken. So you go, Google Maps says it's a 40-minute drive to work, but I got there 30 minutes that one time in 2018. I think I can do that again. There have been times when I've been walking out the door genuinely thinking I'm gonna be early to something only to show up like 20 minutes late. I don't know how to explain it, but my brain just doesn't understand time well. It's easier when something is part of your normal routine, like going to work, but when it's not, it's a lot harder to estimate how long it's gonna take. And if I'm going somewhere I've never been before, forget it, dude. I'm lucky if I show up on the same day. Time blindness is commonly associated with ADHD as a result of irregular dopamine activity in the brain. I got in touch with Professor of Cognitive Neuropsychiatry, Roshan Kuls, to help give some insight into this phenomenon.
We know that stimulation over frontal cortex can alter dopamine release quite selectively in those regions of the striatum that are topographically most strongly connected with the stimulated frontal region.
What? Another big factor in my chronic lateness until a few years ago was a fear of being early. I don't want to waste time, I don't want to be bored, so I don't like showing up to a doctor's appointment early and having to sit in the waiting room for 25 minutes. I don't like getting to social events early and having to kill 10 minutes just like walking around the area. So the fear of that would keep me from leaving until the last minute. But it took me a long time to realize that. For most of my life, it was a subconscious thing. I just had this instinctual aversion to being early, but I didn't really know why. Once I identified that, I realized, you know what? Not that big of a deal if I show up early and have to kill a few minutes. Then this one isn't a concern for me personally, but some people don't like being one of the first arrivals at like a party or a networking event because of the potential awkwardness. If you show up late, the party's already popping. Everybody's there, they're talking, things are happening. You can just slide right in. But if you're one of the first arrivals, there's more pressure on you to help get things rolling. You gotta make small talk with a handful of other people there, some of whom you might not want to be talking to. Well, I guess we're the only ones here so far. No worries, while we're waiting for everyone else, I know plenty of riddles. What has a mouth but never eats, a bed but never sleeps, and runs but never walks? A river. Nope, sorry. The answer is an insane horse. The answer I was looking for was an insane horse. And then this one never occurred to me, but apparently some people have a fear that being punctual will make it seem like they don't have a life, like they show up on time because they've got nothing else to do. So they show up late to appear more busy than they actually are. Personally, I've never assumed punctual people have no life, but I guess some people worry about that. Hello? Hey, Steve, I'm here for the party, but you're not answering the door. Yeah, I'm not home right now. The start time for the party is 6. It is 6. Oh, sorry, I guess I'm running a little late because I'm busy having a life. Nobody shows up at the actual start time, dude. Hey, is your clock set to loser standard time? Another factor is that it can just be unpleasant having to shift focus away from the thing you're currently doing so that you can head out somewhere. Hey, you want to keep doing the thing you're doing, especially if you're really in the zone, you know, like hanging out with friends or watching a TV show. Now, I think a big factor keeping the cycle of chronic lateness alive when it comes to social engagements is that it rarely ever gets called out directly. People tend to be pretty non-confrontational, at least in the US, despite how much all the news stories and videos online make the US look like GTA. So if they're frustrated by someone in their life who's always late, rather than broaching the subject and dealing with the awkward confrontation, they just bottle it up or vent about it in other places.
We all know that one person that is literally late all the time.
Is it just me, or are you guys so bothered by people that are always late?
And they might work around it by telling the late person that things start earlier than they actually do to basically trick them into arriving on time. And so the late person continues going through their life blissfully unaware of how frustrating their behavior is. But hey, now if you want to let someone know that their chronic lateness is annoying, you can send them this video, and I'll tell them for you. Get your shit together, Becky! And for some of you chronically late people out there, maybe you just enjoy the adrenaline rush of trying to get places on time when the odds are stacked against you. You just want the thrill of trying to beat the Google Maps ETA, the thrill of leaving 10 minutes later than you should have but still trying to make good time, trying to catch every green light, weaving around traffic, driving through neighborhoods that have no through traffic signs, cutting through parking lots to pull ahead of street traffic. Maybe one time you actually pulled it off and you've just been chasing that high ever since. Look, there are many reasons someone might struggle with punctuality. The point here is people who are frustrated by chronically late people are right. Being late all the time is disrespectful and inconsiderate. It's like you're saying you think your time is more valuable than theirs. And sometimes it's not just disrespectful, it's a legit inconvenience. People might be waiting on you before starting on something, waiting on you before carpooling somewhere, waiting on you before ordering food at a restaurant, waiting on you before starting a movie. Also, the world runs on a schedule. If you run late for an appointment, you might be inconveniencing every other person with an appointment after you because yours started late and that threw the whole schedule out of whack for the rest of the day. If it's a work meeting or a Zoom meeting and they gotta do that whole, let's wait a few more minutes for everyone to get here before we get started. And now everyone who showed up on time is being punished by having to sit around waiting for the late arrivals. Ultimately, there are reasons for chronic lateness, but they shouldn't be used as excuses. In most cases, tardiness is a problem that's within your power to fix. Time blindness might be real, but it's not an insurmountable affliction. I mean, if actual blind people can manage to navigate the world, I think time blind people can manage a schedule, all right? I really believe that. Some people like to illustrate that point by throwing out crazy hypothetical scenarios like if being late meant that they'd lose $1 million or get punched in the face, then they'd always be on time. That proves it's something they can control. And like, that thought experiment doesn't quite work. If the consequence were that extreme, then you would restructure your entire life around never being late. But the basic point stands. Given a big enough consequence, nobody would be late. But I would wager that most of the time, all it really takes is confronting the person about their bad habit. Like, yeah, if the punishment for being late was that a hyena was gonna bite my dick off or whatever, then I would never be late. But just talking to me about it would also work. And because I know someone is gonna bring it up, yes, there are some events like parties where punctuality isn't necessarily expected. You can be a bit late for a party and it's not a big deal. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm running late for my grandpa's funeral. I thought I had time to film a quick YouTube video before heading out the door, but I guess that was a bad idea. Well, at least I won't be the only late one at the funeral. Because he's my late grandpa. Anyway, hey, be sure to hit that subscribe button to join my clubhouse. And you know what? Instead of turning on the notification bell like a lot of channels ask you to, do me a favor and just check your subscriptions page every day. A lot of viewers have been complaining recently about not getting recommended videos from channels they're subscribed to because the YouTube algorithm is being weird and annoying. But those videos do always show up on the subscriptions page. So make a habit of moseying on over to that subscriptions tab and then you won't miss out on anything. And also watch this.